Hello, fifth graders, it's Mrs. Trombley, and it is time for some social studies. So you are going to need your chapter 6 packet that you should have received in class. And you're also going to need the handout you received that's called Push or Pull. So those are the two things that you'll need. Your chapter 6 early English settlements. Yours is a packet. I just printed off the single sheet for the notes right now. And the push or pull sheet and a pencil would be helpful as well. We're not going to be in our book today. I actually have a little excerpt from something else that we're going to read, and we're going to talk a bit about push and pull factors, which probably makes sense seeing as that other document is titled Push or Pull. All right, so why don't you follow along? I'm going to read out loud, and you can follow along. The following source was written by a priest named Father Thomas de la Torre in 1644. It describes the journey across the Atlantic when he came to what had become New Spain in North America. We soon realized that the sea was not man's natural habitat. Everyone became so seasick that nothing in the world could induce us to move from the spot where we lay. A more befouled hospital and one so filled with the moans of the sick can hardly be imagined. Some sufferers were cooked alive in the heat below deck. The sun roasted others lying about the deck, where they were trod upon and trampled, and where they were so filthy that words cannot describe the scene. A ship is very narrow and stout prison from which no one can escape. Closely crowded in cramped quarters, heat and suffocation unbearable. The deck floor is usually one's bed, and though some passengers brought soft mats, ours were small, hard and thinly stuffed with dog hair. Okay, so this is describing the journey across the Atlantic. And I want you to kind of think about what this journey must have been like. It's not sounding too good, right? So first off, we see everyone is seasick, right? I don't know if you've ever been seasick. It is no joke. Here, it talks about the moans of the sick, and some sufferers were cooked alive in the heat below deck. So basically underneath, like the platform where you can stand and outside of the boat, there's underneath where you can go to, and it was so hot that some people were actually cooked alive. And if you stayed outside, the sun roasted the others that were lying above deck. So picture that, like where are you gonna go? If you're on the deck, then we have this heat from the sun. If you're below the deck, we have the heat from there. It said they were trod upon and trampled. So basically, if you're trying to lay down, people were walking all over and just filthy. There are not a lot of showers and baths going on. And it says, basically a prison which no one can escape. They mean, we can't get off of this boat. Like you're on the boat, you can't leave. Super crowded, heat and suffocation. Usually you're sleeping on the floor, and if you had something that was nice and soft, it was something that was stuffed with dog hair. So I guess think about, we just talked about how horrible these things were. Think about why on earth would people go exploring then? Why would people leave where they're at and subject themselves to these horrible conditions? And that's what we're going to talk about today. Like, why would people do that? And basically there's two main reasons, or two categories of reasons, of why people would move to new places. So one of those things, push factors. And push factors are basically reasons that people would leave an area, drive people away, or you could look at it as push people out. The other set of factors are called pull factors, and these are reasons that people might migrate to a new area, or reasons that people are attracted to a new place. So there's some positive characteristics of the place they're going, and they're drawn to, like, they're attracted to want to go there, attract people to a new place. They're being pulled toward that new place. When you think about the explorers that we talked about in the last chapter, when we looked at their motives, a lot of them heard that there was silver and gold and different resources. One, the fountain of youth. Those would be pull factors pulling them to this new place. We didn't talk a ton about push factors. When we get through the 5th grade, you'll end up hearing a lot about some push factors about why people left. But I'm going to give you some examples of push factors of why people would leave an area. It's not necessarily every single reason for the European explorers we are talking about. They're just in general, so you understand the difference between push factor and a pull factor. So some push factors, reasons people would leave an area, and I want you to write these down. I want you to write down everything I'm writing down. One push factor would be poverty. Poverty. So wanting kind of a better life, living without many resources. The second push factor, unemployment. Maybe whatever your job is, where you're at currently, there aren't jobs available, so you're unemployed. Disease. Maybe you feel that where you are is not safe, so that would be a reason that you would leave. War. Sometimes climate can have an effect on things, and if there's a drought, oops, H didn't come out, not enough rain, then if you are trying to get some food, it's really tough if you're trying to grow food. So there could be a famine. Famine means that you don't have enough food. Okay, the last one here that we'll list, political insecurity. Our government wasn't always set up the way it is now, especially in other parts of the world. So way back when, we're going to get into some details about some things that people were dealing with that they did not like, and they were dealing with control that they didn't like, and they wanted to leave because of that. So these are some examples of push factors. These are things that would drive people away from an area. They're unhappy where they're at because of these things, and it pushes them out. Now, other reasons that people would move to a new place, the pull factors. Okay, so maybe they're just looking for a nicer place to live. And we had said over here that unemployment was a push factor. A pull factor would basically be a job opportunity. For example, let's say that I couldn't find a teaching job here in Michigan. There were no teaching jobs available, but I heard in Florida there are tons of teaching jobs. So I might move to Florida. I'm not moving to Florida. I like to visit, but I'm not moving. But if there weren't any jobs here for what my field is, I might move somewhere else where there are job opportunities in my field. So that would be a pull. I would be pulled to that place because there's job opportunities there. Other things, sometimes family lives far away and we want to be closer to family, so we might move because of that. All right, sometimes people just get kind of bored and they want some adventure and they want to be in a new place. So adventure is also a pull factor. All right, some things that we'll end up talking about throughout this chapter and actually throughout the 5th grade curriculum is religious freedom. Religious freedom. And it's basically being able to choose your religion and practice that religion. So religious freedom, that would be a pull factor. If you didn't have religious freedom where you lived, and we're talking past here, then some people wanted to move to where they could have religious freedom. That's going to be a pretty big topic that we talk about in 5th grade as well, from the past and what prompted these people to leave Europe. Okay, political freedom, same thing. Political freedom. And we talked about having a famine or a drought as being a push factor. Sometimes people want to go, especially farmers, where there's fertile land that's good for growing crops. And another pull factor would be safety. If you hear of a community that's very safe, it's nice to live in a place where you feel safe. Okay, so main difference between the two. These are both reasons that people would want to move to a new place. Push and pull factors are both reasons people would want to move to a new place. Push factors are basically the things that you're unhappy with about where you currently are that are pushing you to want to get out of there. Pull factors are things that other places have that you would want. So they're things that would attract you to want to go to a place because they have it. So you might not be completely unhappy with where you're at, but the grass is greener over on this side. So push and pull factors. Now here's what I would like you to do with that, okay? So we're done with this right now, your packet. I want you to get your push or pull sheet in front of you. And there are 8 different things on here. There's 8 different descriptions. And it's your job to figure out if the description is describing a push factor or a pull factor. So all you're going to do is, I'm going to read these to you. If you think it's a push factor, then inside the box, write push. If you think it's a pull, inside the box, write pull. Right? If you can read these on your own and you'd rather just label the document, that's fine, because I'm not going to tell you any of these answers. We're going to talk about them in class. But in case some of these statements don't make sense, I'm going to read them out loud too. So as we go, I'll read each statement, and after I read each statement, you're going to write push or pull. And then when I see you in class next, we're going to cut these out and we'll put them into our packet. But I want to make sure that they're all correct and we discuss them before you do that. So all you need to do, you don't need to cut anything out, is label each of these 8 things as push or pull. So here's the first one. The European population in the Americas was still very small. There seemed to be plenty of room for people. So would this be a push factor or a pull factor? The European population in the Americas was still very small. There seemed to be plenty of room for people. Would that be a reason for people to want to leave where they're currently at? Or would that be something that would draw them to the Americas? All right, the second one. Many people left rural areas in search of employment in European cities. They found increased competitions for jobs that paid well, and in many cases, a shortage of jobs. So one more time. Many people left rural areas in search of employment in European cities. They found increased competition for jobs that paid well, and in many cases, a shortage of jobs. All right, number 3, people believed they would be free to practice their religion in the Americas. The Americas also provided a place to live free from direct rule by a king or queen. So again, you're labeling that with push or pull. Number 4, around the 16th century, some kings and queens in Europe believed that they had the right to rule both the church, religion, and state, the government. People were not allowed to worship the way they wanted. Some people who did not accept the official religion often got in trouble. And one more time. Around the 16th century, some kings and queens in Europe believed that they had the right to rule both the church and state. People were not allowed to worship the way they wanted. Some people who did not accept the official religion often got in trouble. Number 5, people no longer believed that evil caused illness, but learned that illness is related to unclean living conditions. Population increased due to the control of disease and improved public health conditions. This caused some areas to be overpopulated. One more time. People no longer believe that evil caused illness, but learned that illness is related to unclean living conditions. We've come a long way. Population increased due to the control of disease and improved public health conditions. This caused some areas to be overpopulated. Number 6, people had the chance to have a job that might make them wealthy. The Americas also provided the opportunity to earn money by owning or working for a company. And again, people had the chance to have a job that might make them wealthy. The Americas also provided the opportunity to earn money by owning or working for a company. Number 7, European countries had limited land and natural resources. Land became scarce in the countryside. Increased family population left less land for children to inherit, but people wanted their own land. And number 8, people who had no chance of owning land in Europe could become landowners in the Americas. The New World also had an abundance of natural resources, including metals, minerals, and animals that attracted people. All right, so when you come to class next, you should have the front page of this, of your chapter 6 packet. You should have those things listed out. I'll come around and check it out. And you should have either the word push or pull written in all 8 of these, and we'll check them together. If you're not sure, you can kind of take your best guess at it, but ask yourself, if it's a push factor, ask yourself, is this a reason that would make people want to leave where they're currently at? Or is it a pull factor? Is this something that would draw them to the Americas? All right, good luck. Thanks for watching. See you soon.